culture is something that it's like the 360-degree information about your body, could be about your mind, about your soul. So it is like food for all these different dimensions of humanity. Now we spoke a little bit about the physical body, the material needs to live in this world. Now about the mind, that is where we need knowledge, we need wisdom, we need right education. So what about culture for the mind, for
See,
the thoughts?
right, culture for the thoughts. Let me put it, first give a bigger perspective. We're talking about, say, a tribe of maybe 100 people are there. There's a child born in the tribe, and the child grows up to become an adult, and then there's another child to which this child, whatever the child has learned, imparts. So you see that I spoke about three generations. Like uh, there's a child, and then there's another child which is born much later. There's first generation, second generation, third generation. There's something that is moving between these generations, right? Some kind of knowledge. All that is moving between these generations is called culture.
Mm.
That's the meaning of culture.
Mm.
So now, um even if you talk about the mind, or whatever be it, the kind of thinking they should have, the sum total of all that was transferred is the culture. If required, and if known, and if it's valuable, generally an elderly person in the tribe will convey that information and state its importance to a younger younger person, right? That's how culture moves.
And over the years, like we just talked about, there has been a gap in how we receive the information from our um, older generations. So now we are at a point. Let's take my own example. I can't relate to what my mother tells, or that generation, whatever thought process they have. I can't relate it to that, and they can't relate to us. There has been a huge difference, although it's just one I don't know, probably for last couple of years, there's been a lot of change around us, including technological advancements. So there is a huge gap in how we see things. So now we have reached a point where we are now starting to realize, yes, there needs to be a cultural revival. We need to go back and we need to bring out what we, where, we need to actually find out where we are from what we did before all this started. Yes, we are starting to realize, but what we have actually carried from the generations, or whatever information that what we have received, is actually very minimal, or we are not perceptive in some ways. Now we are planning to bring this cultural shift, which means we will now be creating that huge transformation in that line of generation. And now we are saying we will change all this, and the information that we will be passing on to the coming generations is something like it's almost like saying we are taking that ownership of this transformation, I would say, because what we have received is something we've forgotten. Most of the things, right? We don't know what herbs we can eat, we don't know how we can survive in the forest, we don't know if what grass, kind of grass, we can actually use to survive when there is no water, when there is no food. So now how do we revive that back?
See, this is in a way, um, like I feel like there's a blueprint in an intelligence that is the universe, right? We have a small part of, like, we have access to some kind of intelligence. And that's possible because there's intelligence in everyone. For human societies, if you observe what has happened very recently, there has whatever was like the traditional way. See, we went from being tribes of hunting and gathering to having a civilization, and then having uh, maybe patrilineal cultures, and then from one person to the next person, from one generation to the next generation, there was maximum wisdom being passed on, like a potter's son would be a potter, a barber's son would become a barber, and it had continued that way for a very, very long time. Not as long as we were hunting and gathering, but once civilization started, this is
Hmm.
had become a pattern. A farmer's son would learn farming with his parents, and he would become a farmer. Um, so this kept going on and on and on. Uh, at particular point, if this system should be overhauled, that transfer of information should get broken. The modern education system is only a tool in the grand scheme of things that breaks up this generational transfer of culture. So, this generational transfer of culture can be broken down by the modern education system because of particular solid reasons. One, making resource and survival and comfort dependent on the possession of money, and making the possession of money irrelevant to the occupations that your parents and grandparents had.
Hmm.
That's exactly what happened with modern education, science, and technology and industry. So now, with the loss of the lineup of culture, that throughput is gone from seniors to now. We feel the loss of something valuable, but we don't know exactly what we've lost. And to make up for that loss, we have a thirst. It's not in everybody, but there are many people with that thirst who feel like a tree who has just lost its roots. Where was I getting all this from? And there's a lot of missing pieces.
Yeah.
If you do maybe an IT job or any job, a 9 to 5 job, you were educated in the modern schooling system, and you went through college, you took competitive exams to get an engineering degree. Now you are working at an office 9 to 5. You have a great office work culture. The entire narrative within which you are living is just stupid because you have no alternative to living like that. You think you have, but you are already jailed. And you haven't accepted being jailed as freedom. And that's where um, the absence of that liberty, right, from a set of rules and behaviors somehow affects the mental psyche that was not evolved to live like that.
Yeah.
And you see rampant parties in pubs and discos, dances, people getting drunk, trying to come out of the pain that they have been put through. There's a huge problem with the modern set of living arrangements.
True. And at the end of the day, when you actually get some solitude to sit and think, what would happen with me is there would be a constant, um, dissatisfaction within me. Like I know there's something missing. There's something missing. What is it? And what happens is you are always there is always that little bit of dissatisfaction with whatever you do. You no matter what how many things you're doing, no matter what modern the definition of modern success you're close to, it doesn't give you that true happiness. And then what then happens is, because we don't have someone to guide us to show what can actually bring us freedom and that a happiness back, what we do is, you will see addictions, you'll see
Yeah, so many ways.
relationships getting destroyed,
Yeah, yeah. There are so
because
many
there's a
side
fuss that
effects.
it creates this. So you're in this fuss constantly because something's just not, it's out of the place, but you don't know it's out of the place because you're told that this is the normal since you're born.
The problem that I see, or if you ask me why I can look at it objectively, it's because I try to lift myself up to have that view, a completely objective view of everything that happens in the sensory world around me. So, rise in the way you see it. Think beyond, see, uh, uh, like it's like come out of the well. Stop thinking about your salary, your saving, your children getting 85%, not 90. You are in a very, very small well. Stop your nonsense about trying to build a house, paying EMIs. Why are you torturing yourself? Stop for a moment. Stop doing everything and think, is this why I was born? Step up. Is this the right mental conditioning that human beings as a species should have? Go one step higher. Is this a political system which I should be concerned about? Go one step even higher. Is this an education system that is capable and audacious enough to tell me what is right and what is wrong? Can I give it that authority? Can I reason against that? Is there a possibility that there's no good or bad? Things are happening, and from our perspectives, they're looking as good and bad. Is actually what people call dirt really dirt? I'm pair bonded with somebody. Rise, start thinking. I'm pair bonded with someone like husband and wife. We are pair bonded. That's the law of the land. Is that natural? I'm not telling people to have as many relationships, but I'm just asking them to question what is natural for a human species. Rise. Is the language that I'm speaking really worth the intellect that the human brain has?